unusual, secretary couldn't be here today, so the proper thing to do procedurally would be to appoint a secretary. Heather has volunteered to. So before going any further on the agenda, we would need a motion to appoint Heather as secretary for this meeting.
I move to appoint Heather as secretary.
Okay, great. Seconded? Okay, great. All those in favor of having Heather be secretary for the special council meeting in their placards? Opposed? And abstentions? Great, that carries. So welcome. I'm going to begin this special council meeting by doing what I forgot to do last special council meeting, which is the Native Solidarity Statement, so my apologies for that. But the statement goes, we would like to acknowledge that Concordia University is on the traditional territory of the Kanyen Kehaga, a place that has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations. The Concordia Student Union recognizes and respects the Kanyen Kehaga as the traditional custodians of the lands and waters on which we meet today. So as far as excusals go for this meeting, we had Ben, who was not feeling well and would like an excusal from this meeting. I found out about this about 2 or 3 hours ago. So if in order for him to be excused, or if anyone has any questions, we need a motion for excusal. Okay, Marcus?
Yeah.
Seconded by? Thank you. Okay, those in favor of excusing Ben from this special council meeting, please raise your placards. Those opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, that carries. Terry, real quick, did you manage to get in touch with?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So that does it as far as excusals that I've received for this meeting. The next point on the agenda is the main point of the evening, which is the referendum question on BDS, the boycott, divestment, and sanctions. Now, before I begin, just because this is fairly recent, there is a fairly pertinent bylaw which I think directly contextualizes the conversation around this meeting. And I would just like to read it out, that as far as bringing forth a new petition, that, quote, the promoters of a petition for the calling of a referendum are responsible to come and present their motion to the Council of Representatives prior to circulating it on campus. The purpose of such a presentation is only to allow for discussion between council and the promoters and to solicit feedback on the proposed question. The Council of Representatives shall have no decision-making power regarding the wording of any question presented for discussion, nor over the ability of the promoters to pursue their petition, nor over the putting of that question to referendum. That's bylaw 9.6.2. And on that note, I believe Rami is the mover of this motion. Yeah. Would you care to present and speak to this point?
Yeah, I would just like to start by saying that well, there's a Jewish holiday going on, I think today, or maybe it was during the whole week, I'm not quite sure. And the reason why we really couldn't move it to another day is because we're currently, it's kind of an urgent matter. We have to bring up 500 signatures before 5 days before the call of the by-elections, right? So if it's not today, I mean there wouldn't be any election. That's any referendum question, our referendum question on the ballot. So it's really important to have it today. However, I really urge anybody who couldn't attend this meeting due to religious purposes to just send me an email to my personal email, or to just contact me in any way, and I'll make sure that I'll take these recommendations in consideration. So yeah. So basically, what we're doing is that we're putting up a motion, a referendum question on the ballot, to look support from the students of Concordia in order to adopt a stand on BDS. So I'll just like the chair has mentioned, we're just here today at council to discuss the wording of the question. Although you guys don't really have power over the wording itself, we will really take this in consideration, right? So I'll just go ahead and read out the referendum question. The call for boycott, divestment, and sanction, BDS, is globally initiated in response to Israel's illegal occupation of Palestinian territory, its siege of Gaza, and its systemic oppression of Palestinian people by Israel, launched in 2005 by an unprecedented coalition of over 170 civil society organizations on the model of the successful campaign against South African apartheid, passed by several other Canadian universities. BDS promotes basic equality, practical peace building, and democracy in Israel-Palestine by calling on the boycott of all academic and consumer ties with any institution or company that aids in Israel's continued illegal occupation and siege of the Palestinian people. It categorically rejects all kinds of discrimination, including anti-Semitism, and aspires to achieving basic equality for all people in Israel and Palestine, regardless of race or religion. Do you agree that the Concordia Student Union should adopt BDS, a stand against Israeli apartheid, until it complies with international law and Palestinian rights? So we're here today just to listen to your feedback, and you guys can start.
Thank you. So on that note, I would open up the floor for discussion. If there's no further discussion, if there's no discussion at all on the floor, then we can pass to you.
I was just wondering, is there any way that this could be sent to us so we can, I just want to be able to look at it.
Would you like to?
I just want to be able to look at it. I don't know if that's the only copy of the...
I'll send it to the secretary, because I mean, she has to, and I guess she could share it to the members of council.
Would it be possible to send it right now for it to be put on
Right
Facebook?
now, like,
Or rather,
I
if-
have it.
would you like a physical copy right now to have a look at?
Yeah, just to look.
Oh, right now?
Okay. Marcus?
I'm just wondering, how effective is the BDS movement or its history in terms of like isolating Israel and not having any negative effect on Palestinians? Because I know that I believe there's some prominent intellectuals who are completely, pro-Palestine, etc., who have spoken up against the BDS movement, unless I'm mistaken.
Any direct response?
Direct response, yes. There are some academics, some pro-Palestinian activists that are in some way, like they don't necessarily support the BDS movement. However, we believe personally that a stand in Concordia campus is absolutely necessary, especially on all campuses in general. First of all, because we want to make sure that CSU will just avoid having funds or funding any project that is related to the illegal occupation of Palestine, and especially with our neighbors at McGill, who are currently funding a project on weapons that are directly related to civilian casualties. We don't want this such thing to appear at Concordia too. So it's just for precautionary purposes, and also because we want to make sure that we have a safe campus here.
Is your placard up or?
Oh no.
Okay. Well, if there are no further questions or comments on the motion, or not the motion, but the point rather, this again is an informational point. And Rami, you've been very forthcoming about wanting to answer any follow-up question or offer information. But this point can be closed if there's no further questions on the point. Okay, very good. Well, if there's no further discussion on the point, then that brings us to adjournment of the meeting.
All right.
May I have a...
Move to adjourn?
Those in favor of adjournment?
Who seconded?
Oh, sorry, who was the seconder?
It was Matt.
Okay, great, thank you. So those in favor of adjournment? Those opposed? And abstentions? Okay, meeting adjourned.
That's a record.
How's that one?